I can spray out this tank without any issues. Error, vehicle is missing, balance is missing. Control level error, control level signal out of range, communication error, dashboard main, oh my goodness. G'day everyone and welcome back to Tom's Brook Farm. We are still having issues with the Agrifac. So Henry is not here. It is currently Sunday. Henry's gone to Perth to pick up his parents. His parents come over from New Zealand to come be with him for 2 weeks. So they're coming to the farm for a week and then they're going around the lower part of WA. So that should be good for him. So I am left in charge of this. Hopefully I can remember how to drive it. That's going to be a whole thing in itself. But Friday, when Henry was trying to spray in the afternoon, he only, well, look at the truck over there, and he got a tank out. And I think there's still Flexion in here. That issue's back. The whole vehicle is missing issue, that's back. We had the mechanic come out yesterday, and turns out the issue is the alternator. But probably not what you'd think. So this is a 24 volt system. If I can get this open. So it's a 24 volt system. The 48 volt system on the spraying side of things. But the tractor is run by 24 volts. Now that alternator somehow was putting out 32 volts of charge. And it is overwhelming everything in the cab and just making the cab fry out. So that is our issue. So we need to replace that with this. The second issue we were having is there's a sensor out here on the boom. This sensor right here, that is basically it's just two magnets and they let each other know the position of where the folding arm is. That hasn't been working for Henry for, let's just say a month. It's because obviously when you have a niche part that breaks, it's got to come from the Netherlands. But anyway, it's finally rocked up. Henry put it on and it's not working. So when the mechanic was out here yesterday, he somehow got it working. But in the midst of getting it working, he broke our that's our height sensor. This obviously comes out here and then that reads the ground. This up here, this reads the ground in front, which then lets the boom ride to the correct height. Now Henry, obviously when it was happening on him, sometimes this thing would fold in and fold out when it shouldn't. So Henry was tying it up. And then when the mechanic was here, he was folding it in, I believe, and that was coming out. And yeah, he broke that. So I've got one to replace that, which is good. So I've got to do that one as well. And then eventually I will get to filling up and going and spraying some Flexion. We've got rain coming on Wednesday and Thursday, so I'm hoping to try and get a bit done before that. Right, now I've got that off, we can now start in here. Got to take this guard off here so that I can get to the idler pulley in there, so I can get the belt off. So then I can then undo. I think there's only 2 bolts on that, I believe. Yep. So there's only 2 bolts. One at the top, one at the bottom that I need to get off, and then obviously the electrics at the back. Plop the new one on, it'll be good as gold. There we go. Now, probably something that you wouldn't be aware of is this has actually got two alternators. This one up here, and then there's a giant big one down there. I believe that one is for the 48 volt system. Now this is going to be our second alternator, obviously, because I'm replacing this one. And we've actually replaced the other one down there, but that wasn't really the alternator's fault. See this bracket that comes along here, this was weak, and that broke on us, and obviously screwed the whole alternator up. And Agrifac, that was on Agrifac, replaced the whole thing. And because it was a fault, they then strengthened up all this, and then they went and did that on all the other machines. Agrifac has been quite good actually with when something is weak and breaks on another machine. They then fix out, sort out what the issue is. They fix it, and then they get the mechanics to go and do it to every single machine, I assume, in the world. Definitely down in Esperance. I think there's 20 or 30 of them now down here. But so quite a lot of it is the boom structure at the back wasn't strong enough, so they've actually come out quite a few times and they've welded up struts and plates on that to fix that up. A few booms on the edges they've also done. They've strengthened them up. So yeah, it's quite good on Agrifac's part that they see a weak part, they recognise that it's weak, and then they come and they fix it. Dropping everything. It's moving the whole thing. I'll show you what my issue is. So this here is actually threaded. So instead of just being able to hit it out, no, it could be like that on all alternators. But if I look on my my new alternator, it's threaded. So now I got to try and get 2,000 something hours of corrosion, I guess you'd call it, to move. I've obviously loaded up with some WD-40, but yeah, geez, I definitely don't want to break the bolt or round it. I mean, I've got the right size, so I'm not going to round it, but yeah, just trying to take it carefully as I can to not buddy, yeah, destroy it. So we'll see how we get on. Oh, it's now fucking spinning the whole thing. Ah! It is spinning that whole thing now. So what do I do? Oh, gee, willikers. Oh. gonna bend my vice grips. And that's definitely not gonna be enough. Let's see. And that just came off anyway. So, you know. I've got some needle nose ones. I don't think they're going to be any better. But we shall see. Hold it. Let's see if this works. This is where I need 3 hands. Because I do not want to crack my radiator pipe here. I mean, I'm not going to crack that, but I will break it off of one end or the other. Right, shoulder. Oh, yeah. Oh, we got some movement. Oh, hallelujah. I was worried that I wasn't going to be able to get that off, and that my whole plan of trying to get some Flexion out before this rain came is going to be all down the drain. I don't know where my little extension's gone. Should be alright. We're not out of the woods yet, are we? Still got to get the new one on. Still got to replace that sensor over there. And then the new one hopefully doesn't do what this one does. We should be right. Oh, it's down there. Okie dokie. Stay. Stay. Come on, down you come. Down you come. Is that far enough? I can't see. I really need to invest in a mag tray. Because the amount of stuff that I keep dropping. It's very annoying. Does the top one go in? Don't mind the facial expressions. Everything is so tight. I need a slightly bigger one, but maybe I went too far down. Here we go. I was too low out of all those things, could you believe? Okie doke, that one is in. Just need to get my top one. See, it didn't feel very good when I was getting it out. Yeah, it sort of felt like it had been cross-threaded in. It also doesn't feel good getting it back in. This is the one up the top I'm talking about. Just doesn't feel right. I can thread it in perfectly without the alternator in the way, but the alternator is obviously slightly off, like it doesn't line up perfectly, so you end up, oh man, I just don't want to screw that in like that. The start of this bolt, like I said, when I was getting it off, didn't feel good, and it, you know, the start of the bolt isn't ideal. I just don't want to. Just don't want to cross thread it. Right, we are going to go to the shed and get that thread file that we've got up there, and just have a. No, that's probably not going to focus. Just the very top of this bolt. Doesn't even look like it's cross-threaded, but it just. It isn't playing the game. And now I can't get it in the damn. No, I can a bit. Just. Back from the shed. The thread files I have at the shed aren't this size, but I do have obviously a tap and die set back there. So I've got the tap and the die, and I've sort of tried to clean that out as best as I could. There really isn't much to it. Like there's not much bent over, if any, but I'm able to obviously thread it into there. So that's all right. I'm going to see if I can now thread this up there. And if not, which I can't, I'm just going to have a go at just putting the old tap in there, just to see if I can clear it out. And that's not going to work because, well, it's about the same size, but see, I need a mag tray. What am I going to do? I swear I lose everything on this. Right. So I have decided to come in from the other side of the hole, and just thread it back the other way, because I'm able to get it through this way, sort of. That will hopefully clear whatever hard. Oh no, you have to. This is our radiator hose. Now I had to undo the clamp so that I could actually get those vice grips on it. This was right in the way. And now it's leaking around there a little bit. It's alright, it's not too much. I'll do it up as soon as I've finished messing around with this. Anyway, I'm hoping that screwing it back this way will clear whatever debris is in the way from the other side. And then what I might do is take this one off completely, so I can line this one up easily and get it through. Okay, so that's now threading through. It is still a bit tight, but I was able to get a fair bit started by hand, so I'm not too worried about the thread now. Alright, there we go. That took forever to get that in. Ouch. Now, the question remains as to how I get this one in now. Anyone want to send me a mag tray? All my tools keep falling off my damn ladder. To me, maybe? There we go. Right. That's on, that's locked, that's tight, that's tight. Now, I need to put our belt back on, cage, and then that should be all sorted. Come on. Come on. Get on there. Right. The last job before I can get spraying is to obviously change our sensor, height sensor arm. Should I do this? Is that better? Well, then my wife can laugh at me because she always tells me how heavy I breathe. She calls me Darth Vader. And then now that we wear these lav mics, I now hear myself breathing on the camera. When I'm doing the editing, I'm like, oh God. Gives her great amusement. No, I was saying I needed a mag tray. Coming very handy right about now. Store all my little bolts. How does that work? So where this sensor, this is all the cords that run down to our height sensor down there. It's got a little bracket here that it sits on. Now that isn't actually on the new one at all. So I guess I'll just be zip tying it to the frame. Yes, you do just hit that out. Now to do everything in the reverse order. Why is that so high? Come down. Right, we are finished and ready to fire up the Agrifac and see if we have any issues. Now, if we have any issues, it'll be when I rev it up, because that's when Henry was getting the warnings coming up, because obviously when you rev, it's giving more power to the alternator. Started all right, just going to give a quick check. sure that nothing was loose, or that the belt wasn't running where it's supposed to, or water was coming out of there. But that's all looking pretty good, so I'll jump up and I'll give it a rev and see if we get that issue. Right, I think we're pretty good. There's 2,000 litres left in here, but I'm just gonna fill up anyway, and then we can just head out with a full tank. Now, see if I can remember how to fill this thing up. Now there was an update to this. You used to put your hand over that, and you used to put your hand over it, and it used to bring everything up. And now it's, you press the home button, so that's all right. I figured that one out, Henry. Well, it's gone. Nope. Oh, it's the bottom one. Okay, all the one to the end, and then I want number 4. That should have worked. We'll find out, and we shall see if I can spray out this tank without any issues. Error, vehicle is missing, balance is missing. Control level error, control level signal out of range, communication error, dashboard main, oh my goodness. Looks like we didn't, the booms are now in the ground. Look at all this. When I revved it up, it worked, and then I've gone to rev it up again, and now that issue's coming up. This has just ruined a whole lot of plans. Alright, that's very frustrating that I've just changed that alternator and it didn't work. The boom's off now because I revved it up again to see if those warnings would come back up, just to get a photo of them. And then everything in the cab was going skits. All the lights here were just turning on, off, on, off, on, off, which meant that I couldn't actually rev it down, so I had to just turn it off, which is not ideal, but yeah. Right, I gotta make a phone call. Can't get a hold of the mechanic that was out here yesterday. It is a Sunday, so fair enough. What I am doing now, I've folded the booms up so that they're not gonna lose control and go into the ground. I'm gonna go for a drive. I've reduced my revs from what we'd normally have. We normally run this thing at 1500 revs. I'm now down at 1300. I'm hoping that being a bit lower will mean that I can just spray a bit slower. It's going to be a bit more sluggish on the machine because Flexian weighs more than what water does, so it's a bit heavier, but at least this way I'm able to get going and get across it. So it might mean that I'm just going to do the tank a bit slower, but I just want to get spraying. I want to get this stuff out before this rain. It'd just be a crime to not get this Flexian out before the rain. Well, my idea worked, but I was slowing down when I got to the end of the track there, and I had the warnings come up again, and that was when I was slowing down the revs because I wanted to try and find where the volt reading was on the screen. I've got that up now, and yeah, now it's just going off whenever it feels like it. Now just trying to transport back to my ute. I'm in communication with the mechanic now, and we're just going back and forth on diagnosing it. I've disconnected the alternator, and it is currently it's actually working. What we've done is when on that battery we had that positive lead that I took off, and then there was a clamp. Sorry, not on the battery, on the alternator. Taking off that clamped one. Now that's for some reason not making it go silly buggers in here. And the mechanic reckons we should be right to just keep driving how it is. So I'm not going to argue with that. I'm going to get out here and try and get some flexi end done. Fingers crossed that now it holds up. Okie dokie, and we are away. Oh, no, we're not. Remember that last video, how Henry, when he did his turning on of the boom, sometimes the things don't do a handshake, the sensors. Well, I've got two solenoids, sorry. I've got two out there that aren't working. So now I'm going to turn the boom off, turn the boom back on, hope that it works. Turn it on and off. Done a total of 0.84 hectares. Pump is running. Let's rev up. Auto steer needs to go on. Master switch needs to be turned on. And we have got water. Well, not water. We've got FlexAir coming out of everything. I'm just going to assume that the ones behind the wheels, there's stuff coming out. I don't know. Fingers crossed. Just finished that first tank. We had no issues with the, you know, that whole thing. We're having issues with the vehicle missing, all that sort of stuff. So taking off that that plug has seemed to work. Anyway, we just did 124.8 hectares, if you can read that, while I bounce around in the paddock. We are now just heading back up to the truck, and we'll drain that last little bit out. Like I said, it should be about 5,000 litres, and it should finish off this paddock. We got 4,300 litres on board, so we've got about 65 hectares worth of spray or chemical or whatever you want to say, area to cover. I reckon we're going to go pretty bloody close to finishing this paddock on that, which would be fantastic. Then that's all the barley done. The truck is now empty, so when I finish this tank, I'm going to go and grab the truck, go and fill that up, so it's ready for me for tomorrow morning. I might even do another tank tonight. We'll see how we're going. So yeah, I reckon I will leave the video there. Thanks for watching, everyone. Watching me struggle with everything that's going on in this boom spray and changing everything over. We got there in the end. If you've enjoyed it, please leave a like. Subscribe if you haven't. Share it to somebody who you think might enjoy watching a WA farmer farm. And also don't forget to check out the Glass Cage podcast. That is on Apple, Google, Spotify, iHeartRadio, I think Amazon. It's on a lot of them. So anyway guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.